Hi, this is Nick Brandon from tecwork. I'm going to talk to you about internet connections, specifically business internet connections, although this will also apply to you at home or if you're a home user in a business. So I've been dealing with internet connections for over 15 years, mainly in the course of sorting out business IT and telecoms. There's two main types of internet connections available in this country. One is what we normally call broadband, which is what you see advertised on the television from people like BT and Sky, and that will be an old copper-based product, which has been around for years. Or, of course, in recent years, if you're lucky, you can also get fibre broadband, and this is what we call a DSL connection. It's a digital subscriber line, which is essentially a digital connection delivered across a normal common or garden phone line. So it's on a pair of tiny copper wires. The other connection that you can get really is what we call a lease line, which is an internet connection that you pay a lot more for normally, and it's normally direct fibre, although it can be copper. So I'm just going to cover both types, broadband and lease lines, and give you a bit of a basic overview. So broadband DSL has been around for years, basically. It replaced the old dial-up modem, which was very slow and made a big noise. And it's all copper-based normally. And it relies a lot on the distance from the local exchange of your premises. So the further away you are, the slower it's going to be. You can get up to 24 megabits per second down and about 1.5 megabits per second upload, but the chances of you getting that are extremely rare, and just depends on how far you are from the exchange. If you're a long way from the exchange, these speeds will be considerably less. With copper-based broadband, it's all copper, so there's lots of points of failure from your socket in your office or your home. There could be umpteen distribution points, telegraph poles, ducts, box connections, all the way back to the exchange, and that could be up to about 5.5 kilometers of hops. So the chances of them failing, or that tiny copper pair failing, are quite high, and that's why you hear a lot about people getting internet problems. And if you're paying about £40 a month or less for your broadband, it's likely that you've got one of these. And businesses have been a little bit sort of in a falsehood, really, because really they've been. A lot of smaller businesses have been using this kind of connection to run an office of 20, 30, 40, 50 people. And frankly, most people spend more than £40 a month on their Sky television. So it's a bit of a falsehood, and people have been upgrading because lease lines have become much more affordable, and I'll come on to that. Because there's a lot of copper wire in the mix, there's a lot of potential interference from power devices. Anything that emits power or interference can have a detrimental effect on the performance. And if you're lucky, you're in a fibre broadband area, which means that at least you can get faster connectivity. So a lot of people are getting 18 megabits per second down and 20 megabits per second up. But again, it depends how far you are from the little green box at the end of your street. So the closer you are to that, the faster and more likely you are to get those speeds. Although, having dealt with this a lot of people that can get fibre broadband are not getting anything like those speeds because they're just too far from the box. So it's much better than normal copper broadband. It's faster, means you can do a lot more with it. You can put voice across it, and you get a lot more streaming out of it. So it's that kind of setup. You see, you've got copper broadband, fibre broadband, and they're roughly the same costs. So about 30, 40, sometimes £50 a month. Now, If we talk about lease lines, what a lease line is it's a much faster connection and more reliable. And it normally means that you've got direct fibre installed in your premises, which not everybody has. So if you want a lease line, normally you have to get direct fibre installed. Fortunately, the government is subsidising the first £2,800 worth of excess construction charges, which is the charges that BT Openreach would charge to do whatever's necessary to get the fibre in. So it could be digging up the pavement, digging up the road, etc. And that cost of £2,800 covers roughly 85% of scenarios. So it's a good option. Good thing about a lease line is it's synchronous. So whereas broadband is faster on its download than it is on its upload, a lease line is the same speed both ways. So it's excellent for your internet connectivity. There's normally also an SLA, a service level agreement. So unlike a broadband where you've got a phone line involved, which could be faulty, and then you've got the broadband signal on top, so you've got two things to check. With a lease line, you have a service level agreement, which is normally 6 hours. So it's normally got sort of 99.9+% uptime. And when it does go wrong, it's managed and monitored, and faults can be fixed very quickly. Of course, if somebody digs up your road, it's not going to be a 6-hour fix, so it doesn't cover all eventualities. Good thing about a lease line is if you can get fibre in, you can either have a 100 meg connection, and you don't have to take the whole 100 meg, you can have 10 meg increments, or you can have a gigabit connection, which is 1,000 megabits per second. So you can go right up to the same speed as an Ethernet cable connected from your computer to the server, which is obviously extremely fast. There are a couple of other derivatives of this type of connection. Some people can get a copper-based lease line, which will probably give them speeds of up to about 30-35 megabits per second. Again, it depends on how far they are from the exchange. You also have cable companies like Virgin Media who can do their own connections if you happen to have a Virgin cable nearby. A few other options that you could look at. 4G. So for a small business, a good option is to have a 4G SIM card with a data card in it. That's normally good for a backup scenario. So you could have your broadband sat working, and then in your router you can have a SIM card that just takes over when your broadband fails. Some people actually use that for their main connection, but you have to have quite a bit of data and not use it too much, otherwise you're going to get a bill shock. You can also have potentially a WiMAX solution in some areas, particularly in built-up areas in London and bigger cities. That's where you can get a connection which is wireless, and it's wireless back to a point which is near your premises in line of sight. You may also like to consider satellite broadband, although that is a little bit clunky, and it's not great for putting voice services across it. So I mentioned the government subsidy. A lot of our customers have been buying into that, putting in their direct fibre connection, having the government cover the costs. The process is basically we place an order, and then we get told what the costs are, and you either abort the order if it's prohibitive, or you carry on. Whatever you want to do, we can check what kind of connectivity you have available to you within 5 minutes by looking on our portal. And sometimes we can do visits just to have a look around. I've checked many times that there's direct fibre in people's buildings when they're moving in, or if it's nearby. Internet connections can take anywhere from 2 weeks for a broadband connection, 4 weeks for a fibre broadband, up to 3 months for a direct fibre, or of course if there's a lot of work involved in digging up the road, that can be considerably longer. So dealt with this for years and years. We're putting voice across internet connections now. People are moving their premises-based servers and applications out to the internet, which basically means the internet has got to be faster and more resilient. So costs have come down, much more affordable than it was, say, 10 years ago. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a flavour. If you'd like to get in touch with us, just visit our website at tecwork.co.uk, or give us a call on 01892 578 666, or you can email us at helpme@tecwork.co.uk. I really hope that's been of some use and hope to hear from you. Thank you.